Hi, I'm here with John Powers, who's going to talk to us today about backyard beekeeping. Queen taking off and starting a new hive.
That's right. As I was saying, the bees through thousands of years have learned to perpetuate their species by basically essentially duplicating themselves. And they do that by every year around April or so they start making new queen cells, and they do that by taking some of the very newest eggs that the queen that's in the box has laid, and they feed that a special solution of food called royal jelly, and that creates queen cells. And in the meantime, they start feeding the existing queen a little bit less to get her used, to thin her down, to get her so that she could fly. And when the new queen cells look like they're about to hatch, the bees entice the queen out. She's not used to flying, so she will fly and land on some nearby bush or building, and about half the hive goes with her, and they ball around her to protect her, and they stay there. And that's where you start hearing about swarms and people calling up saying, I got a swarm of bees in my yard. And basically the bees are there, and while they're there, they're sending out scout bees to look for a permanent home. And the scout bees are going around looking at hollow trees, abandoned building, and they report back, and they do a dance. They come back to the swarm, they do a dance, called a waggle dance. And the waggle dance is giving the rest of the swarm information about where this possible home is, how big it might be. And mind you, now several scout bees are coming back and reporting back, so the bees have to decide which place is the right place to go. So they'll actually, if they feel that one bee is really excited about what they found, they'll send somebody out to go and check it out and see what they think. Get a second opinion. And they'll report back, and once a decision is made, I don't know how it's made, but it's made, suddenly within seconds that ball starts to unravel, and you see this cloud of bees just going off and taking off and going away. And they'll, within seconds, they get into that home, and they enter it and begin life in their new home. Meanwhile, back at the hive, the half of the bees stayed with the original home, and when the first new queen to emerge from the queen cell emerges, she'll go around, and if there are any other queen cells that haven't emerged yet, she'll take her stinger and kill the queen that's in the cell. The first one to emerge.
Okay.
And so she will become the queen of that hive. Now, she's a virgin queen at that point. So she has to take a couple of days to get her strength, get the blood flowing through her wings, and then she'll learn where she is. She'll come out and do like to acclimate herself to where she is. She'll do short flights just to learn where she is in relation to the sun and the trees. And then one day she'll go out and try to get mated. You might want to stand right over here because the bees coming and going.
I'm in their path?
Yeah, they might be in their path.
Okay.
So the queen, the virgin queen, goes out and flies around and looks for a bunch of drones. The drones are hanging out all day in like a drone yard up in the trees. They have no job other than to look for a virgin queen to mate. And so they mate in the air, and the queen will mate with as many drones as she can. And the bad news for the drone is once they've mated with the queen, they die. Just falls to the ground and die. So the queen might take a day or two to mate with as many drones as she can, and then she comes back to stay and begins laying eggs. And bees, the worker bees, they live basically 6 weeks. So the queen has to be, keep on top of that by producing more bees than are being lost through attrition and other things. So she'll lay up to, like I said, 2,000 eggs a day.
Okay. We'll stop here.
Okay.
The hierarchy is very interesting, and the fact they create a new kingdom.
Yeah, and I was going to get into that a little bit, the kind of the life cycle. What happens once a bee emerges as a new bee, a new worker bee? It to me is fascinating.